There were terrible calls. Do we want to go ahead and jump in?
After further review.
After further review.
After further review.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast. And yes, it is time for Upon Further Review. We're going to get started, mark it, with some conference title scenarios. Bud, you have done some hard work. You have put some math together. We've got graphics because, yes, as we discussed in the college football playoff projection segment, things could get a little bit messy inside of the SEC. So we've got some motivating factors, what teams are rooting for, and so much more. But when you were looking at the SEC conference title tiebreaker scenarios, what was starting to jump out as some of the big storylines, teams to watch and more?
Yeah, so Mikey, hold on the graphic for a second. Let's run through the simple stuff, okay? If A&M beats Texas, they're in. A&M is also in, obviously, if both Bama and Ole Miss lose their rivalry game. So if Auburn beats Bama and Mississippi State beats Ole Miss, that's pretty unlikely to get both those. It's not impossible, okay? Ole Miss is in if they win the Egg Bowl, Texas beats A&M, and Auburn beats Alabama, right? In that case, Ole Miss would play Georgia. All right, so Georgia's in if Bama loses to Auburn or if A&M beats Texas. So those are like somewhat possible
an or scenario. Right. Okay.
Or if, Ole Miss beats Mississippi State, right? And Georgia would then have to win a three-way tie with Alabama and Ole Miss based on the opponent winning percentage. This is where I think it gets interesting because I haven't seen anybody break this down yet. Apologies if somebody has, but I took the time to do it this morning. So, Mikey, let's roll the graphic. All right. So, currently, Bama has a pretty decent lead on on conference opponent winning percentage, right? So that is the tiebreaker in the case in which we get A&M in and the three teams there at 7-1 in the league, right? Which would be Bama, Georgia, and Ole Miss. Ole Miss schedule, no shot to get in this scenario. So it really comes down to Georgia, Bama. And in this case, Georgia needs, there are 5 remaining games that will actually impact this that involve opponents that they both didn't play because obviously if they both played the team, it doesn't really matter. So we have Tennessee at Florida, Arkansas at Texas, Kentucky at Vanderbilt. Those are all this weekend. And on the final weekend, Missouri at Arkansas and Vandy at Tennessee. So I ran the model this morning. Georgia needs Kentucky, in this scenario, Georgia needs Kentucky to beat Vandy, and then 3 other outcomes for them here, get it done. So you got to get 4, and one of them's got to be Kentucky beating Vandy. So, if they get Kentucky Vandy this weekend and Florida beats Tennessee, which is possible, Texas beats Arkansas, it's obviously extremely likely. Arkansas upsets Missouri. I'm not really sure how much of an upset that is, certainly some. And then Tennessee beats Vandy. So they need Kentucky over Vandy plus 3 of those other 4 I just mentioned to get in to have that strength of schedule be above Alabama's. There's a lot of outcomes actually in which their opponents finish with the exact same record. And in that case, yes. I looked at it because I was like, what if they only get 3? I ran it, and in 4 of those 10 scenarios, actually, Bama and Georgia finished with the exact same conference opponent winning percentage. And then that triggers Bama over Georgia because Bama holds the head-to-head. So these are kind of the 5 games you need to watch if you're a Georgia fan, and you got all eyes on Kentucky Vandy this weekend.
What about for the Big Ten?
Big Ten, Tom, did you look into this that much? Basically, it's obviously
it's Indiana and Ohio State.
Yeah, right. You can look at all the scenarios you want.
Yeah,
you haven't looked at Michigan beats Ohio State,
and Ohio State's got 1 loss in conference,
and then Michigan would only have 1 loss in conference, and Michigan would have a head-to-head.
Yeah, but it could set up other scenarios, right? Like if USC has defeated Oregon, then USC also finishes with 1 loss,
right,
in conference. Yeah,
right.
So Michigan is not win and in.
Right. No, there's a USC, Michigan, Ohio State 3-way tie with 1 conference loss scenario. That gets very complicated.
Right. Exactly.
Chip, I just ran the numbers. It's Ohio State and Indiana.
For what? Even if Michigan beats Ohio State?
I ran the numbers just now. It's Ohio State. It's Indiana.
So even in this, all right, now plug in new data. Here, plug in new data. This time it is USC beats Oregon, Michigan beats Ohio State.
It's Ohio State and Indiana.
Okay.
These do not compute.
Okay.
He beating Oregon computes. Michigan's not beating Ohio State.
Yeah, it's okay. All right. That's because, interestingly enough, there are some Illinois factors in the Big Ten. Because if you do get to common opponent, we have a win for Illinois over USC, a loss for Illinois against Ohio State. So Ohio State could win against USC. There's also the head-to-head result that USC has against Michigan. However, if Michigan and USC and Ohio State are all in a three-way tie, Michigan has a 1-1 record against the groups that are tied. Ohio State would have a 0-1 record against the teams that are tied. And then, of course, you would have the 1-0 record for USC, having not played Ohio State, but with a win against Michigan. The problem is, as you start to go down into the deeper tiebreaker scenarios, what happens is Michigan gets booted out because of its loss to USC, and therefore Ohio State would end up getting in ahead of them. Ohio State has played a slightly tougher conference draw than USC has, and that would allow for, than Michigan. Wait, hold on.
Chip, the numbers have been run. It's Ohio State versus Indiana.
Okay.
Right. Now, look, if USC wins out and Michigan beats Ohio State,
that's what I'm suggesting.
It's Indiana USC. I'm fairly certain on this. You would need a lot of help because in that scenario, if all other favorites win, which is probably just the easiest way to do this, USC's conference opponents would have a 48% winning percentage, and Michigan's would have a 38%. So that's a decent number. Like we would need an additional probably 4 results to go in Michigan's favor.
Tom, what I'm telling you is that Ohio State has a chance to lose in Ann Arbor and get themselves booted from the Big Ten title game.
Chip, Ohio State will be in the Big Ten title game. That's what I am telling you.
But
I don't know if you watched Michigan against Northwestern this week. Ohio State.
Well, we watched them last year all year
game.
Too. We watched them all last year.
I know you did, but trust me.
Yeah. Okay. Ohio State and Indiana, yes, careening towards that opportunity. That if you go to look in the Big 12, man, there's a big host of teams that are rooting for losses. Unfortunately for Utah, for my money, probably the best of those teams and certainly the highest ranked outside of Texas Tech and BYU. The Utes have the head-to-head loss to BYU, and they have the head-to-head loss to Texas Tech. That makes it extremely difficult because any head-to-head tiebreaker there is going to end up going against the Utes. Houston also sitting there at 2 losses. And Arizona State, however slim, because of that victory against Texas Tech, Arizona State does potentially have a path to the path to the Big 12 title game. Cincinnati also tied there in 3rd place with 5-2. Cincinnati has a massive game coming up this weekend against BYU. That is the only opportunity to keep its slimming conference title hopes alive.
I'm like trying to play with this, and I'm really not even sure I can get to a combination that gets Michigan's conference opponents to a higher percentage than USC's if USC wins out and Michigan beats Ohio State. Like I just flipped Nebraska, Iowa. I just flipped Washington, Oregon. I Michigan State beating Iowa, which probably not super likely. Even in that case, like you're still got USC as 4/10 higher. Like they probably need a lot more than 4 results. I was kind of spitballing on 4 results. Michigan might need to run the straight to get in over USC.
And the Tom Bot 4000 again declaring Michigan will not beat Ohio State.
Hold on, let me run the numbers one more time. Yeah, no, Ohio State's going to beat Michigan.
I don't think we're assuming USC over Oregon. It's just it again like
we are creating. Yeah, Oregon winning is cleaner. Oregon finishing with 1 conference loss, and that 1 conference loss being to Indiana is like a very clean way for this to end in terms of the Big Ten picture. And of course, Ohio State and Indiana for the Big Ten is the most intriguing and exciting conference title game. I mean, that is something where all season long there has been, not as many of these top teams getting to clash against each other, just based on the way that the top tier of the Big Ten is shaken out and the way that those schedules were set up for this particular season. Ohio State against Indiana for the Big Ten title would be awesome. And that's what I am rooting for in the Big Ten.
Also, Michigan would not be in over Oregon if they both went out, guys. So Indiana would be in at undefeated. Oregon's conference winning percentage of their opponents is over 500. Like, I really don't think there's any possible combination of games that allows Michigan to make up 0.13 in the win percentage column over the final 2 weeks.
Now down in the Atlantic Coast Conference, where Georgia Tech and Virginia are currently tied in first place with 6-1 conference records, each with one conference game remaining. The Pitt Panthers and the SMU Mustangs are at 5-1. We do have, if you want to look a little bit further down in the standings, there is, you've still got Miami at 4-2. You still got Duke at 4-2. Louisville officially eliminated from ACC title contention mathematically with their loss. So that's about where you're drawing the line. And I think we can draw the line a little higher to Georgia Tech, Virginia, Pitt, SMU, all those four teams with one loss. What is likely, what is expected, and what are the big hiccups or pivot points in that title race?
This is not, I did think about trolling Mikey just to have him make an insane graphic for this, but I ran out of time. Because I wanted to make sure I had the SEC right. So Georgia Tech beats Pitt, they're in. Okay. I think that there's some chance Georgia Tech can lose that game and get in, but I can't figure out what it is.
That's easy for Georgia Tech. Win and in.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the Virginia side?
So Virginia needs to obviously beat Virginia Tech. Okay. They need SMU to lose one more time. So SMU plays Louisville and Cal. That's certainly possible. And they need Pitt to lose one more time, which would be to Georgia Tech or Miami.
Does Virginia face a Pitt? So Virginia needs Pittsburgh to lose one of their two final games. Does Virginia face a situation where it would lose the tiebreaker to Pitt?
This one's really, really complicated, actually. I don't know.
Okay.
Hold on. I just ran the numbers. The winner of the ACC will lose by 25 in the first round of the playoff.
Wow.
Disrespectful.
So disrespectful.
No. What's disrespectful is pretending the ACC matters.
Listen, you know what, Tom? I've had enough of you. It is week 13. This is the last full week of college football. Then we're going to get disrupted by rivalry week and holidays and a slate that is spread out across Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. This is the time to appreciate college football. We are not building gated communities, Tom, okay? We are not trying to keep people out of college football enjoyment.
Okay,
Chip,
Jim.
what are the TV ratings for these ACC games?
I don't know.
Nobody cares. They don't matter.
My name ain't Nielsen. My name is Patterson, and I'm an appreciator.
Danny, you've been arguing about how the G5 shouldn't be having an automatic spot in the playoff. Why the hell does the ACC deserve an automatic bid?
I said if the Duke scenario played out, take it away from him. I am totally fine with that.
Just get him the hell out of my way.
I'm with Danny on his idea that you need to be a certain minimum ranking to get in.
Yeah.
And
I don't even think it has to be
a top 20.
Yeah. Or I would say top 16. Wasn't that the number they used to use for the New Year's Six for the group of 5 teams?
Honestly, why not just pick the playoff teams before the season starts? What if we just go off of TV ratings? Whoever draws the best ratings total at the end of the year, or average, because some teams will play more than others and we have to keep it fair. We just take the top 12 teams in TV ratings and we put them in. Has anybody thought of this?
Yes.
We got to give the people what they want.
Yes. No, what happened is Tom gave this presentation to the college football playoff executive directors. And because they are men and women of integrity, they said no. And they said, we are going to have championship decided on the field. We need results.
Just saying, I'm so sick and tired of arguing about teams winning games and who they lost to. Let's just go by who watches them.
Miami can still get in.
I think that's the best case scenario for the ACC.
Well, not
correct?
if we go by home attendance, but by ratings, maybe.
No, because it's Miami wins out, and also because Miami winning out would mean you've got the win against Pitt, so you get them out, but they need SMU to lose so that they're not in any kind of tiebreaker scenario with SMU.
Correct. Yeah. And they actually need SMU to lose specifically to
Twice.
No. They need SMU to beat Louisville, and then they need SMU to beat Louisville, I think, to rig the common opponent or like the conference opponent strength thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they need Cal to beat SMU. So you literally need Cal. Like, it can't just be Louisville beating SMU. It's got to be Cal.
And SMU, correct me if I'm wrong, aren't they one of the ACC teams that controls their own destiny? They went out, they're in the ACC title? Did I hear that wrong last week?
No, because they got to win out, and then they still need, I think, and look, this is really complicated. I could have done this wrong. All right. But I think they need to win out, which is Louisville and Cal. I'm pretty sure they have to have Pitt beat Georgia Tech if they want to. This that may not be correct. I'm not sure I have this 100%. Like, this is pretty damn complicated.
Do we want to bring back divisions, or do we like tiebreakers? Chat, let us know. Give us a Y or N. Do you like the tiebreaker chaos and confusion?
I think with a 17-team league where the schedule strengths are so disparate, I would really consider going to, in the absence of like a head-to-head, highest rated like college ball playoff team.
Instead of doing because basically all of these are coming down to the opponent's strength of schedule situation, which is, as you mentioned, imbalanced schedules makes it very difficult.
You do away with conference championship games, and you have that final weekend where you have your top 4 teams play.
What if we just took the 12 teams that get the highest ratings and we put them in a conference and have them play a round robin?
The American uses this, by the way. Like, the American uses the college ball playoff rankings, I believe.
Yeah.
ACC uses an internal metric provided by Sports Source Analytics.
Did David Hale do this?
What if we take the 32 teams that get the best TV ratings, put them into 2 16-team conferences, but then we break those conferences into 4-team divisions, and then we schedule based on playing in your division and also where you finished in the last season and getting cross-division rotation.
And let them draft. Yeah. Let them have a draft out of high school.
From all the other loser schools. They can take their best players every year. We'll hold a draft. If you're a loser school who's not in this super cool league, you're going to lose your player, but we'll give you $20 for him.
If David actually did this with all possible combinations, I mean, hats off to him. That is tremendous work.
I fear for David.
I looked at his Twitter account. I didn't see it.
The man spends far too much time thinking about the ACC. It cannot be good for you.
The Mountain West has had it go all the way down to that 7th or 8th tiebreaker that is the internal power rating metric provided by Sports Source Analytics to determine who's going to play in the Mountain West title game. That happened, I believe, 2 years ago. So it is not uncommon or unheard of, the fact that you would get all the way down to those levels. And yes, the last final tie-breaking procedure, I know in the ACC, commissioner draw. We're flipping a coin in Charlotte, baby.
Carolina.
Could you imagine? I mean, we already got cameras in there for all of the officials, right? You know, so
they finally started they finally started getting some calls wrong this weekend on that thing, and just like, all right, cool, whatever. It's on video, but we're just not going to discuss it on the broadcast. That was.
Hey, we appreciate the transparency, right? Again, these are all the things that we are going to be tracking as we look ahead to week 13, setting a little context for the football that is going to be played. Speaking of the football, now it's time for the brilliantly boring wins of the week.
We forgot Big 12. Is it a bit, or are we going to do Big 12?
That's because you hate them, bud.
Apparently I thought I said it's hard to get. We were presenting the Cincinnati. We were presenting the teams that want to jump up into the Texas Tech BYU realm. Mentioned the BYU. Did we skip it? I didn't think we skipped it.
I thought we skipped so Texas Tech obviously controls its own destiny. BYU does as well. Even like Arizona State, Houston, Cincinnati, Utah, all those teams are still alive.
Yeah. So I said Arizona State still has a small path thanks to having the head-to-head win against Texas Tech. They obviously need a little bit of help to be able to get
I wasn't sure we were doing like to chop it for a segment. Okay.
Oh, I mean, do you have it? Do you have more on the math there?
A little bit, but not much. We can move it on. But it's probably like going to come down to the final weekend.
How so? Lay it out.
Like just with all the games we have this weekend, it's going to be like less complicated after this weekend.
So which ones?
Like all of them, literally. Like Utah, BYU, Cincy matters. Like that one's going to matter quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think BYU is going to lose to UCF, but they could, I guess, in theory.
They could. What about that Arizona State path?
It's really freaking complicated. So, well, let me pull this back up. This is a great show. My bad. Where are we at here? Okay, so for Arizona State, okay, wrong tab. All right, they could basically like get in if like they think they need Houston to lose.
Yep.
Right. And Utah to lose again. And then BYU obviously to lose. And they need to win they need to win out. And then it comes down to like common opponents, and it's just a freaking mess. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
This is a mess.
Yeah. The thought that really is standing out to me is the fact that Utah is the team that you would trust the most to be able to execute what needs to be executed down the stretch to be able to make it in. And yet they have head-to-head losses to the teams that are currently in first and second place. Right. So the loss to Texas Tech, the loss to BYU, any kind of tiebreaker scenarios, you're going to be stuck on the outside looking in from most of those. There's just not enough weeks left to play. The Houston side of it is particularly interesting, especially because you've got the head-to-head loss to Texas Tech, which could hurt you, but obviously nothing against BYU. The loss to West Virginia, while it is very damning on its face, it is not necessarily actually it is damning because that's the common opponent loss to BYU. So common opponent could end up being the one that makes West Virginia keeping Houston out of the Big 12 title game.
So real clean here, and this is an insane thing to say in the Big 12, if all the favorites win and Cincy beats BYU, then it would be Texas Tech, Arizona State.
Is Arizona State favored against Arizona?
Yeah.
Jeff Sims is playing, of course. I mean, he's an NFL quarterback, Kenny Dillingham says.
But probably not by much, right? Like
probably like 2 points.
If you have Arizona State favor, I'm not gonna disagree with that.
Like it might just is the game in Tempe? It might just be home field that gets them favored.
The game is in Tempe. Yes.
Yeah, without Levitt, it might just be the home field advantage.
Yeah. So again, you do have clean Texas Tech, BYU handle business. You mentioned the BYU Cincinnati game, absolutely massive coming up this weekend. Texas Tech, they are almost done. For those who weren't aware, they are off in week 13. They close the regular season at West Virginia. You take care of West Virginia. You finish with an 8-1 conference record that has you very much, positioned in and clinched for the Big 12 title game. BYU, Utah, Houston, Arizona State, Cincinnati, all in the mix in the Big 12.
If like Utah right now is the biggest Cincy fan. So if Cincy takes down BYU and TCU, then Utah would go against Texas Tech because they would have the highest common opponent winning percentage among the other 4 7-2 teams.
Nuts.